Bonsoir tout le monde.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Okay, are we all ready to go? I wish everybody joining tonight a very warm welcome. Could be whatever your time is where you are right now. One teacher says a very warm or very good moment to everybody. So this we wish you too. And a special welcome to all those who are part of the Siddhartha's Intense Sangha or who are connected with Arne and are joining because of his presence and his special being, this talk. My name is Gabriele Maas and I worked for Rigpa quite some time and have been asked to host tonight, and I will walk you through everything we do today. And this is part of the talk tonight with Arne Schelling is it's called The Four Seals, or What Really Makes You a Buddhist, as part of the ongoing series of monthly Dharma talks you find on Prajna Online. Or those who know Arne, they don't need to listen to me for the next few moments, but I just want to say Arne has originally been trained as a medical doctor and has worked for a long time in this profession, but he decided to engage full-time as a teacher, translator, editor, organizer of Buddhist teachings. Those of us who know Arne, we are all very aware that he's a full all-rounder. He does so many things to make the Dharma flourish. Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche has appointed Arne as an instructor in 2008, and he's currently teaching many different topics. And I know he has at the moment a Bodhicaya Avatara teaching session running as well over various months. He participates in the Melinda teacher training, which is under the guidance of Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche, and gathers not just one Sangha, but more Sanghas together to train. And he also trains as a teacher in the Data Institute, which has been founded by Dzogchen Penlop Rinpoche. He himself runs, on top of all of this, a center in Berlin. He's inviting many lamas and rinpoches to come and teach. He himself serves often as organizer and translator and recorder and archiver and making also pictures, asking questions and everything. He is supporting, is a big fan and supporter of the 84,000 project. And from my perspective, when talking for him, I would say that at his heart is the Khyentse lineage. And therefore, he's also at the center of the newly founded Khyentse Vision project. And I'm sure Arne will say about this project at the end a little bit more. So we have about an hour together. Arne will go through the four seals. And then after each seal, we have a possibility to ask questions. So at this point, our kind Zoom host, Helen Cargill, will unmute us and then or give us the possibility to unmute ourselves. And then we can ask our questions directly. Or if we feel it's more convenient, we could type it into the chat. And in preparation, we discussed that we could most likely deal with English, German, and French in case you feel a bit shy to write in English only. if you have an urgent question in between, you could also always raise your hand, which is done at the reaction button at the bottom line of your Zoom sound, and then you will get the possibility at an appropriate time to unmute yourself. Best would be if you turn your video on for this so we can see you. As you noted, this session will be recorded. It is already recorded, and this is mainly for the purpose to place it on Prajna online later on, so we all can tell our friends and watch it again. Enough said, and I hand over to Arne.
Thank you so much, Gabriele, for your way too kind and generous introduction here. But yeah, thank you. Gabriele and I, we know each other since decades, but I don't want to reveal our age here. It's really a long time. And also thank you, Helen, for your technical support this evening. And of course, thanks to Prajna for having the courage to host the whole thing. And of course, welcome to everybody here. Thank you for joining. And I hope I'm not creating even more confusion here, but if I do, or even if I don't, please feel welcome to ask questions and discuss. And I think we can discuss a little bit, maybe 2 questions after each seal, but then in the end, after the 4th one, we can discuss even more. Okay, then maybe let's start. And a little bit embarrassing because I know some of you guys here, and it's easier to speak in front of strangers, actually. So topic today is, no surprise, the 4 seals, or the 4 hallmarks of Buddha's teachings. So this is basically the answer to questions like, what is Buddhism, or what is not, What is the path that Buddha taught, or what is Buddhism in a nutshell, or what is the unique view or philosophy of Buddhism? And maybe we know Atisha, a very important master who came to Tibet. And according to Atisha, the difference between being a Buddhist and not being a Buddhist is taking refuge. So that is his definition. And therefore, we could even take refuge just with a worldly intention, just to have a better rebirth or a higher state of existence. That would still be okay. But if we really aim to attain enlightenment, or even better, to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, then the 4 seals is what we need. And these 4 seals are actually more like a Abhidharma, Shravaka kind of teachings. But I know many masters who are alive, for example, Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche, and also previous masters like Mipam Rinpoche. They teach on this topic from a Mahayana perspective. So I will follow their footsteps. But we should keep in mind that this is what I'm trying to attempt here tonight, is like a Mahayana presentation of it, and other schools might have a different presentation on it. And before I start, I wanted to give the bigger picture, where these are home, or where they're living, these 4 seals. The bigger picture is sort of called view, meditation, action, and even result. That is any path, may it be a spiritual thing or a mundane thing, is always could always be structured like that. We have a view, we have the idea, about something, and then second, we contemplate, reflect, or meditate upon that. Then thirdly, based on that view with certainty, then we act, and that will bring about a certain result or fruit. And since today it was snowing in Germany, or in Berlin at least, I don't know, all parts of Germany. I wanted to share something to explain that in one example. Wait, I just want to share something here. So we need a winter jacket, right? That is sort of what my example here is about, to just show, that view, meditation, action, and fruit can be also applied in a very mundane way. So let's say we want a winter jacket, and then, sorry, I'm going to Amazon sometimes, and then I can read a lot of things about this item. It's a winter jacket, good, that is what I need. It is, the hood is removable, nice, because I don't want it, and it's warm, it's robust, it's for men, getting better. Outdoor, I don't even only have to wear it inside, but I can go out with it, and so on. So if I get all the infos, then I'm sort of creating a view that this jacket might be good, that is something maybe I want to pursue. And then after having read this advertisement, then I can think about it, contemplate on it, and getting familiar with, the details of this jacket. And then by contemplating, I get more and more certainty about that view, that this might be a good jacket. And then maybe I ask people, I use logic and so on, or I test it. And then I come to the conclusion, yes, that is a good jacket. So that is then the result of the meditation, and then follows the action. And then I go out and buy the jacket. And then, yes, as a fruit, I'm wearing it, and I'm maybe inspiring others also to buy it. So my point here is just like this view, meditation, action, fruit is something that we actually always do. And Buddhism is also doing that when it's about attaining enlightenment. And so the four seals are mainly concerned about the view. So the first of these four steps. And so when we want to know what it means to be a Buddhist, or what it means to live in harmony with the Buddhist teachings, then the answer is that these four seals are the unique perspective or idea or axioms of Buddha Dharma. And sorry for that stupid joke, but this one here, they are just too cute. So these could be the four seals that we are talking about, but we are not talking about those, of course. But we are talking about seals like this, like what a king is maybe doing, or a queen, to seal a document, or a royal decree, or like a handprint or a stamp, And that is showing that this is important, that this is significant, and that this is maybe, long lasting, So there's some oomph, thanks to the seal, we show that this is important. And then to give a short overview over these four seals, I'm using here the translation that I found in Rigpa Wiki. I think in the announcement we used how Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche is translating, and I might be jumping back and forth between them. But the first, as you can see, is all that is conditioned is impermanent, or everything that is compounded is impermanent. My winter jacket is compounded, is based on causes and conditions, and therefore it's impermanent. But if I would think there is something that is permanent, like eternal, then that view is not in harmony with Buddha's view. And then the next is all that is tainted is suffering. So I think Khyentse Rinpoche is translating it like all emotions are pain. And we will talk about that. That sounds a little bit controversial, so I guess it's good to discuss on that. And here again, if we think like that some emotions are completely pleasurable, that sort of excludes us from being a Buddhist. And then the third, and I guess this, many people who have studied Madhyamika have heard that like thousands of times, but still it's timelessly true and it's super relevant. Number three, like nothing has inherent existence, or all phenomena are empty and devoid of a self. Other way around, if you believe there's something truly existent, then that makes you not a Buddhist. And then the last one, nirvana is peace, or sometimes also translated as nirvana is beyond extremes. That is, of course, talking about the result. And so nirvana is therefore not something that can be found within time or space, So it's not a comfortable sofa or whatever, a house near the beach or something like that, But it's, we will talk about what it really is, but it is beyond all these concepts or locations, of course, elaborations, and beyond all extremes. But if we would think the other way around, if we think, nirvana is something that can be located or that is attained through any divine power or entity, then that would make us not a Buddhist. Okay, then I start with the first seal, and then maybe we can have one or two questions if you like. So the first seal is this one. All that is conditioned is impermanent. This is, by the way, a pillar by King Ashoka. He was famous for building so many pillars, and there are like 4 lines on top, and each line represents one seal. And we can find many different other words, like temporary, transient, changeable, ephemeral, fleeting, and so on. And impermanence is actually something that is quite obvious to us, like weather or seasons or aging, those things, they are very obvious actually that change or impermanence is happening. But often we yes, intellectually we can understand it, but feeling wise, we are not really appreciating it, or we are not really willing to see it. Like if our body, for example, is aging, or if our relationship is aging or even changing or breaking up, so there, even though it's sort of with a sane mind, it's sort of observable, but still we like successfully ignore it very often, that things are impermanent. But let's go to compounded first, or conditioned, because it says all compounded things are impermanent. That is how Khyentse Rinpoche is phrasing it. And I think Sokhya Rinpoche, 93 in Hamburg, he was also asked that question, why is that? And then he he was like in silent, and then for quite a long time, and then he said, that's just the way it is. That's so cool. And yes, so things are compounded, and therefore they're impermanent. So compounded means it's not like one singular thing, but there are different parts or things coming together, like joined together. And since that is the case, then therefore things can come together if these parts come together, or if these factors and conditions come together. And then at whatever time, then these factors or parts can also fall apart, and then the whole thing falls apart. So there's like a temporal or spatial dimension to everything, that is compounded. And that, refers to my winter jacket, but it refers to everything, that is compounded, like everything, my body, my life, even time itself, And if it would be otherwise, if things would be permanent, then that would mean the things would not change. They would never cease, sort of, they will always be there. So like the present moment would always be there, and there would be no chance for future. And I would never get old, I would always be stuck in this present thing, And we could never get things, and we could never lose things also. And we could never act or do anything because we would be stuck, there's no movement in it. And also music would not be possible. There would be like one sound, basically, like one chord maybe, but it would not change, or there would be only silence, and there would never be the chance that the silence is impermanent and that a sound appears. So therefore the logical explanation here is, it's compounded. So it means it's conditioned based on many causes and conditions, and therefore it is impermanent. And impermanent means, if we read like Mipam Rinpoche, it means like things arise, things abide, and things cease, like this birth, living and dying, sort of. That is the natural flow of things. And therefore, things are not reliable anymore, because we cannot say, yes, this will be here tomorrow, or there's no certainty, that things will last, But impermanence or change is not necessarily, pessimistic, but it could be also optimistic, like I'm not a movie star or I'm not enlightened, at the moment, but thanks to impermanent, I can become those, Or even better, I'm ignorant at the moment, but thanks to impermanence, I can get rid of ignorance. I can get rid of samsara. Nevertheless, for example, if we look at Pato Rinpoche's book or many other practice manuals, like impermanence is always, not always, but most of the time used in a negative connotation, like we are losing good things, or nothing is reliable, we can die any moment and so on. But this is just like a pedagogical tool, to create some sense of urgency and not be too lazy. But as I said, generally impermanence is neither good nor bad, it's just that what enables like a change or a flux. And Dzogchen Pondab Rinpoche is calling it, like change is like a crack on the status quo. So it's always like changing from what was there before. But as I said, good things we can lose good things, we can lose bad things, we can get good things, we can get bad things. That is all possible because things are changing. And to conclude with this first seal, I thought it's good to end maybe each seal with like the benefits of understanding that seal. And the big picture is always, we want to attain Buddhahood. And Buddhahood means not being deluded. And therefore, this seal helps us to get rid of one delusion, which is permanence. We think things are permanent. So that delusion is hopefully eliminated. And that helps us to be very more relaxed, sort of, or more realistic. We know that whatever we like so much that we have around us in this life, that it can be damaged, or that it can be lost, or it can die, So this first seal helps us to be prepared for losses, and helps us to not get too attached to things. So that was my first monologue here. Do you have anything you want to discuss about that? Oh, there's one question by Monica. Is there anything that is not compounded? Let's say from Mahayana point of view, Buddhahood, it's not really caused or conditioned, because otherwise that state would be also impermanent following this first seal. But yeah, Buddhahood is like only the result of elimination, you know, that we eliminate every obscuration, and by that we reveal Buddhahood. But so Buddhahood is only revealed, but not really compounded or produced. That was here in a private chat. That's why you didn't see it. Luis, Silver's like this. Please unmute yourself if you can. If not,
I can't. Okay, thank you. Guten Morgen from California. When you just said, because we want to attain Buddhahood, suppose you decide to erase that goal and say, I'm going to just do the 4 seals anyway, without any goals. And you come up against this a desire not to die. And so you don't want to submit to that. Does that mean you're not a Buddhist? Or does that mean your suffering and ignorance is just so monumental that you're just going to die with that on your mind?
I think it only means you're not a Buddha, but that's all. Mm-hmm. But as a Buddhist, of course, we are not perfect. We have our wishes and our needs, and of course, we don't want to die. So that is sort of we still have tendencies to cling to permanence. That is sort of our human tendency at the moment. But that doesn't make us not a Buddhist, just having that tendency and wish.
Okay, the other thing that maybe I should just emphasize, and I will be quick, is why do you need to know that you're a Buddhist or not?
Actually, I think, as Khyentse Rinpoche said, even Buddha didn't know that he is a Buddhist.
Yes, well, that's why I struggle with that as a goal or a so-called goal.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
And it aggravates me.
Okay.
I just want to not be a thing, not be a name, not be a label, not be this or that.
Okay, I like that a lot. Thank you. And yes, being a Buddhist or creating more Buddhists in the world is not the idea. Yeah, but to create more Buddhas, that is the idea. Yes. So, and the title of the talk is, of course, very much based on Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche's book, What Makes You Not a Buddhist, right. As if being Buddhist is important or not. But the point here is more, is our thinking or our view aligned with the teachings of the Buddha or not? You know, is it aligned with the truth, you know, the relative and the absolute truth? So it doesn't have to be at all religious or traditionalist or Buddhist, but the whole journey of Buddhism is to discover the truth. And yes, in Buddhist context, we call it Dharma. The Dharma or the fruit, like Buddhahood, doesn't have to be a Buddhist. It doesn't have to be in a Buddhist framework, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I mean, my cycle of going around this over the many, many years of practice is, I don't want to be called anything. I just want to be, but I'm very serious about it, the truth. And it just, as I say, it aggravates me, because then I think I'm failing or I'm not or whatever. And getting closer to death, it's very difficult to sustain a balance or a not a balance, whatever it is. Anyway, I'll let it go so other people can speak.
Thank you very much. But it's a really good point. The other questions that I see written here, I will try to answer like on the go, because time-wise we should come to the second seal now. But the questions is mind compounded. This we will cover, I think, in the third seal. So the next seal is this one. All that is tainted is suffering, or all emotions are pain. And this is an actual seal from Sakatrishan, actually. So here, yeah, we have to discuss what emotions or tainted means and what suffering means. And I think this is maybe the best example or the best description that is based on the Sanskrit word dukkha, which means suffering. I mean, doesn't mean suffering, but it's translated as suffering. Duk means bad, and ka means nave, the thing here in the middle. I hope you can see my cursor. So where the axis of a car is going in. And so if this is bad, bad nave, then the whole wheel is like off center, or it is not going round, or maybe if it's broken, then it's not going round. And then, we will have a very like a bumpy ride, which is samsara ahead of us, So that is the whole idea, that the things are not going smoothly, but very bumpily. So the whole samsara is like that, and therefore samsara cannot really satisfy its customers, us basically, that it's never good, it's never fixable, it's never a source for happiness. But if we look into the dukkha thing, then usually the Sanskrit translators, they don't like the translation of suffering or pain so much, but it's more like dissatisfaction, So like all tainted things or all emotions are dissatisfactory. That would be the more precise translation, because here it is not about like very gross suffering or pain that we have, like headache or stomach ache, but it's much more subtle. And this maybe is clear if we look into emotion or tainted things, what that means, or why is that problematic, or why is that not satisfying? And the short answer, or the main point, is because emotions or they are tainted in the sense that they are dualistic. We are so much grasping to ourselves being here and everybody else out there, and we make a big schism or gap between ourselves and others. There's a lot of distance. And of course, then emotions can express themselves on a very coarse level, like crying, shouting, aggression, or a lot of lust or jealousy. But that is more like fleeting and more superficial. But the main problem with tainted here in the definition, how it's translated in Rigpa Wiki, is that there's always this subtle dualistic view, that is sort of very chronic in us as long as we are in samsara. We're always differentiating between us here and others there, or other things there. And therefore we feel that distance, and we always want to get things or people or situations that we think are good for us. So we develop hope and attachment towards those things. And at the same time, we are afraid of other things, or we have aversion towards other things that we feel are like threatening us, our ego, So because we have this egoism, this ego-centeredness, we see the whole world as either something that we hope for, or the other things is what we are afraid of. And then we are constantly running after the things that we hope for, and we are always running away from the things that we fear. And that creates like a constant restlessness, and that is a dissatisfaction that is always there. And of course, since emotions are also compounded or conditioned, they are also like fluctuating a lot, and they're also very uncertain and not reliable. Maybe today we love somebody and tomorrow we are allergic against him or her, you know, like the feeling, the emotions can change a lot. And another problem with emotions is also that they don't really have true existence, and we will come to that in the third seal. You know, they are, we feel them, that is undeniable, but there is not really a true existence in them, and they are not really helping us to attain lasting happiness. So therefore, they are sometimes compared to a mirage. You know, you can see a mirage very well if you are thirsty, but the thirst, the mirage will not really quench our thirst. You know, and it will only lead to disappointment, basically. So that is sort of the idea of these two terms in the second seal. You know, suffering being like dissatisfaction, and emotions or tainted things means, you know, there's like a latent, chronic, dualistic tendency that we always have and how we perceive the whole world. And that is problematic, and that is not satisfactory. And then the benefit of understanding this is again the same. If we want to attain Buddhahood, and yeah, Louis, that is really our aim. You know, our aim is not to become a Buddhist, but our aim is to help sentient beings, and for that we want to become Buddhas. So, and that we can only achieve if we are free of delusion. And so the second seal helps us to understand that we should not get entangled in our perception that, for example, samsara is enjoyable, you know, or we should not mistake suffering for joy, and we should not get too attached to emotions. That is what the second seal is trying to teach us, so that we are more motivated to work with our emotions and to transform our emotions or our dualistic tendencies. And for that, of course, on the path in Buddhism is then we work with our mind then directly in meditation, like shamatha and vipassana. So that would be the second seal. And now I see many things here in the chat. There's one private message. What is the first seal for? It's not to be afraid of something, but the first seal aims at letting go. You know, that we don't think the things or the life or the body or the situation will last forever, but we know things can change anytime, and therefore it helps us to be more in sync with that reality of constant flux. Okay, the question about reincarnation maybe we can do later. That's really a big thing. And the definition of the dukkha. So when I talked about suffering, that this is the usual translation of dukkha, Sanskrit term, then duk means bad, and ka means knave, you know, the thing where you put the excess in. And we know the opposite of dukkha is like sukh, you know, like sukhavati, I think. Some people have heard that name, and or Sugata, you know, it's like the blissful one, or Sukhavati is like, yeah, it's a pure land that is very blissful. Is there anybody who wants to ask a question on the second seal, like in person? Good. Then let's just go to the third. And Indigo, yeah, thank you for your reincarnation question. This is a nice thing, and we will talk about that. I think the third seal might already help with that. And answers are already coming in the chat, also good. So the next is the third seal. Wait, I want to share again. All phenomena are empty and devoid of self. This, in this case, is the seal of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So you can copy those seals, and then you can write recognition letters that you are Tulkus if you want. No, you can find them on the internet also, so it's easier. So that is the third seal. And the basic question behind that is, bad joke, sorry. The question, you know, what is real and what is fantasy? You know, that is always the big question in Buddhism. What is reliable, what is true, and what is just made up, and what is just made by our mind. And so the third seal is investigating that. And there's, of course, a huge investigation happening. And the outcome is that there is no true existence. Nothing has true existence. Nothing has inherent existence, but just in another word, everything is empty by nature. I will, of course, explain a little bit how that conclusion comes about. But just spoiler alert, you know, that is the result of analysis. And that is really the ultimate teaching of the Buddha. And it is applying then to, it's applied to everything, you know, like, let's say, emotions again, or everything that we can perceive or that we think of, you know, whatever appears is, can be investigated, and we will never find a true core or true substance in it, you know. There's nothing that we can really pinpoint if we analyze further and further. I mean, in modern physics, I never know how to pronounce that. In the physicists, if they analyze matter, for example, yeah, they have the gross matter like a glass, you know, and then you can mentally analyze it more and more, you know, and then you come to molecule, or you come first to parts of the glass, you know, like sides and bottom, and then you can go further to molecules, atoms, and then subatomic particles, and so on, you know, like it can go further and further and further. And that is also what the Buddha did mentally, of course. And that is applicable to everything. Thoughts, also the mind, you know, the mind is not like one big static thing, but it is also, that is like an answer to what was asked earlier. It's also something that can be further divided, you know, like maybe we talk about 6 consciousnesses or 8 consciousnesses, or we talk about, maybe the numbers are not totally correct, but like 48 or 51 mental events or mental factors. So there's a lot going on, and interdependence is happening in the mind and in the outside world. And that is basically the idea, you know, that everything is, if we look at the first seal, is compounded. And Why is that? Because different causes and conditions come together. Things arise interdependently. And that's all there is, and therefore there is not really some true substance or true core that could be found, or any true existence. But things just appear out of these causes and conditions. And that means they're actually empty of that what we usually think about them. Usually because of our ignorance, we look at things and think that is a glass, and that's it, full stop. And we think it's one permanent, one singular, independent thing. And these three things is what has to be refuted on this level of the third seal. And if you look into Buddha's teachings, then he gave these three turnings of the wheel of Dharma. And then the third turning of the wheel of Dharma is especially, the second wheel of Dharma is especially aimed at that, the Prajnaparamita teachings, or we can say Madhyamika, is that these, whatever appears, as I said, outside them, seemingly outside or in the mind, like thoughts, emotions, we can analyze, and we will find that there is never a true substance in them, but that they all arise if many, many different causes and conditions come together. And then they cease if these causes and conditions fall apart. And therefore, all these appearances are also said like a rainbow or like an illusion or a dream. They appear, of course, based on different causes and conditions. Like in a rainbow, you have to have drops of water, you have to have maybe not too many clouds, but that I think is not so important. And then you have to have the sun, and then you have to stand in the right distance with the right angle to the thing. And then the illusion or the appearance of a rainbow is there, definitely, on the relative level, definitely. But then if we analyze, there's not really a rainbow there. We cannot really catch it. We cannot really cut a piece out of it and take home. It's impossible. There's no substance. And likewise, is everything like that. But we normally don't see it because of our habits to see things as solid, as singular, as permanent. And then, again, to come to the benefit of analyzing things like that, or observing or understanding things like that. Again, this is another delusion that we have, that we think things are truly existent, or there is a self somewhere, and that delusion is targeted here with the third seal. And by that, really become free from wrong views. And from Madhyamika point of view, I think all Buddhist schools believe in that. The two wrong views could be eternalism or nihilism. So eternalism, like we are thinking there's something really there, permanently there. And that is refuted here by the third seal, by understanding, no, everything is empty by nature. And the other extreme, nihilism, is refuted. Nihilism could mean that there's nothing there at all, but that is refuted by the teaching of Buddha about dependent origination, that yes, things appear on a relative level, things appear thanks to causes and conditions. So that is refuting the nihilistic extreme. And then as a bodhisattva, it's always important to live in that framework of these, to be free of both of these extremes. Because if we become too eternalistic, we become too dogmatic, everything becomes too important, we have too much hope and too much fear, which will eventually lead to burnout. And if we are too nihilistic, then we are too careless, you know. We say, oh, everything is empty. Why bother, you know? Why not rob the bank and kill people, you know, or beat people? So, so therefore, we have to balance in the middle, you know, like, yes, on a relative level, everything is important, and on the absolute level, nothing is so important. And that we have to sort of balance. And I'm sure at least all the Nyingmapas here have heard about Guru Rinpoche, how he expressed that balance, you know, like our view should be as vast as the sky. So our view should abide, let's say, in the absolute. But he continues, you know, our actions should be as detailed or fine as flower, you know, not the flower like a rose or something, but the what is it? The grains, you know, when they are like grounded or whatever. So how to make pancakes, you know, that kind of flour. So so that is the idea, you know, the view should be totally vast and limitless, understanding that nothing has true existence. But at the same time, you know, our actions should be very careful and very detailed and very compassionate. And I think that is obvious, you know, with so many masters, if you watch them, you know, that they have these two. They really think big or vast, but then they really care. Yeah, Claudia, that is, I think Tsampa was Guru Rinpoche's example, not pancakes. Yeah, so therefore that is super important to have this third seal, you know, it frees us from these two possible extreme views, which only would lead us into trouble. Okay, anything to discuss on this third view? And while you think, you can or unmute yourself. I will read a little bit messages here. Yes, basically form is emptiness and emptiness is form. That is, let's say, the heart of the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, you know? Because it's the Heart Sutra, which is one version of the Prajnaparamita Sutras, which is the main thing of the second wheel of Dharma. And there, that is the heart also. So it's actually the heart of the heart of the heart. And explaining exactly that, what Guru Rinpoche also said, you know, like they should be indistinguishable, because that is how reality is, you know. Things are empty by nature, yet they appear. Things appear, yet they are empty by nature. Okay, any spoken question or remark or discussion? Okay. I will ask you questions later then. And maybe at this point, I wanted to show you another picture that is explaining something, hopefully, because, yeah, I just show it first. So if you look at the 4 seals, we covered now the first 3, and I put relative and absolute view next to it. That's what we discussed. And then the last seal, Nirvana is peace, will be result or fruit. So that is our whole endeavor, you know, why we start the spiritual journey. And but just the view alone, even though it's very very much in harmony with reality or the truth, it is just having the view is not enough to reach the result, you know. Like my example is, you know, I have the view sport or physical exercise is good, but that doesn't mean that I'm really doing it, you know, and that I'm really getting like athletic or anything like that. So therefore, what is needed, and this is not part of the four seals, is what I put here in green, the meditation / action / conduct. So that is not part of the four seals, since the seals are talking more about the view. But that would be now the link, you know, to, after having understood the view, this then needs to be applied. And it's very easy to also remember, you know, like the view is like the relative and absolute truth. And then also on the application, like meditation, action, or conduct, we also train on these two levels. And so we train on the relative level in accumulating merit. And on the absolute level, we accumulate wisdom. So these are the two accumulations that we do on the Bodhisattva path. And that encompasses the whole meditation, action, conduct in the Mahayana. And by that, we more and more integrate and embody the view of absolute and relative, so of wisdom and compassion. And then we will reach the result, which is then the last seal. So that is not in the four seals, as I said, but I thought it's good to point out that this, of course, is necessary. We cannot expect a result without a cause. You know, that would be wish-fulfilling thinking. And there are these examples, you know, of wish-fulfilling jewels, or what are the Western examples? The goose that lays golden eggs, you know, or the donkey that is shitting gold coins, and so on. You know, that are all examples of getting a result without much effort or cause. But we have to, if we want to reach the result, we have to start with some effort and some practice and some application. And so that's why I wanted to emphasize on that here. And then the last seal is this one, Nirvana is peace. That is the seal of Tudem Rinpoche, the previous one. And yeah, picture for that, I thought this could work a little bit. The idea, it is sometimes also translated as Nirvana is beyond extremes. As we know, the whole Buddha Dharma, it doesn't matter which school we are in, you know. We always agree that Buddha Dharma is beyond extremes. Just each school has a little bit different understanding what is an extreme, or how the extreme is defined or not, or how ignorance is defined or not, and therefore how wisdom is defined or not. But generally, Buddha Dharma is always aimed to be the middle path, avoiding all extremes. And therefore, no wonder the result will be accordingly, you know, will also be free of extremes and free of any fabrications, elaborations, any concepts. That's why it's called also peaceful. Nirvana is peace, because all these concepts, all the obscurations, all the fabrications, all extremes, they are sort of at peace, you know, they are dissolved, let's say. And it also implies that this is not something that can be given, what I said earlier, from a God or some divine entity, but it has to come through our own practice. That's why I showed this previous chart, you know, with the green thing of meditation, action, and conduct. And then, yeah, if we look at what nirvana is from Mahayana point of view, they would call it the non-abiding nirvana. In other words, Buddhahood. And that is sort of what did I want to say? That is sort of what explains to be beyond extremes, like Buddhahood or non-abiding nirvana. And non-abiding means it is not abiding in samsara and not abiding in selfish nirvana, where we neglect the needs and the wants of other beings. So as I said earlier, we have the two truths on the level of the view. So we learn to have the correct understanding of the relative level of reality, and we have the correct understanding of the absolute level of reality. And then we train in these two by, on the relative level, accumulating merit, and on the absolute level, accumulating wisdom. And then this wisdom, that is liberating us from samsara. So therefore, we are not abiding anymore in samsara. And this merit, which is, of course, accumulated only through loving kindness and compassion, that is the main thing, the motivation. And so that loving kindness and compassion then liberates us from the extreme of a selfish nirvana, you know, where we are only thinking about ourselves and we are not caring about others. So by that wisdom and compassion, we reach that nirvana, which is beyond extremes, because we are not suffering anymore in samsara, and we are not neglecting sentient beings who are still suffering. So that is, from the Mahayana point of view, the whole journey through the four seals, where we try to be free of the extremes. And again, it's of course not about becoming a Buddhist, but it is really about to live in harmony with the truth, basically. And so, of course, Buddhists believe that Buddha has taught the truth. Of course, many others have taught it too. But yeah, for me personally, I think Buddha has taught it very clearly, and it's very not easy, but it's possible to follow it. And I think also I remember, because Louis' question is still bothering me, I think Khyentse Rinpoche was calling this book about the four seals, what makes you not a Buddhist, because that is for him, that is for people who are wondering if they want to become a Buddhist or not. So therefore, yes, the title was chosen for that goal, you know, so that people can understand if they want to become a Buddhist or not. And then once we are Buddhists, then for those people, Khyentse Rinpoche wrote his second book is Not for Happiness, so that we understand as a Buddhist, the aim is now, of course, as a Buddhist, of course, the aim is to avoid samsara, that is clear, but also it's not for happiness, means we should also not aim at the selfish nirvana, you know, but the bodhisattva ideal or Buddhahood is always the sort of the reference point of our path, you know, because tragically sentient beings want happiness, but they only create more and more causes for suffering, and therefore they are suffering more and more. And to help them, Buddhahood is the best state for us. That is the most efficient altruism, basically. Yeah, so that, I think, is a feeble attempt to talk about the four seals of Buddha Dharma. And yes, let's discuss if you want. I'm just looking at the chat. The last one is interesting. Angelina, would you be able to talk with me and explain what you mean? If not, could you elaborate a little bit? Sorry, do I get an answer to that question? No. I will just give one idea. Okay, middle way is our aim. let's use Buddha Shakyamuni, since he is always the best example. So Buddha Shakyamuni lived first in a palace as Prince Siddhartha, full of luxury, lot of wives, lot of sports, lot of pleasures, no withering flowers, everything perfect. He has never heard about death or suffering or sickness or aging. So that is one extreme, total luxury. And then he renounced that. He understood that this is not really like leading to liberation. And therefore he actually went to another extreme, which is asceticism. So over many years, I think 6 years, he was living in a forest, like, I don't know how much he ate, but sort of nothing. And he was so, he got very like weak and thin. You could see his spine through his belly, that thin he became. And obviously that is another extreme. And then, this wonderful girl, Sujata, came and she offered, I don't know exactly, maybe rice pudding or something to Prince Siddhartha, like a little food. It was really not much. And then he revived a lot of physical strength again. And he understood that extreme is also not the solution. It's an extreme. It's not the middle way. And I think nearly there, it was near the Naranja River, he got also the confirmation about that, because there was a sitar player and he talked about the strings of his, let's say, guitar. And he could play the music much better if the string is in the right, what is it called, tension or something. So if it's too loose, it's like boom, and if it's too tight, it's like ding. And so both extremes wouldn't work, So, but the string has to be in the right, exactly the right tension to create the right music. So therefore, the middle way is to avoid these two extremes. Let's say it's fine, that I have some luxury around me, but it should not be too much. Maybe I don't need to live in a 5 rooms apartment for myself, and I don't have to go to 5-star hotel and five whatever meals or 5-star restaurants. Maybe that would be one extreme. And the other extreme would be that I live homelessly, with only eating bread and drinking water, So these two, that could be two extremes that I could see in my life. And therefore it's good to find the middle, like, yes, care enough about my own body, and give it the right, enough oxygen, of course, enough food and clothes to survive, but don't overdo it, like too much luxury, but also no need to give too little, so that the body is getting sick, because as we know, the body is precious.
Angelina just specified her question a little bit, and she asked if you have to vote for a party, for example, you make a choice, yeah? How does the middle way addresses such things? Or white bread, black bread, so you make choices all the time in your life. This is what I understood from her question. I don't know if you can say something about this, Arne.
Yeah, I think it's always good to make the right choices, is always to try to find the two extremes, Like when I'm talking now, I'm aware that one extreme would be that I can express everything with words, and the other extreme would be that I cannot express, that I can express nothing with words, so that words are totally insufficient to express something. Or the other extreme could be that words are efficient to express everything. And in Buddha Dharma, as we know, the middle way is sort of the thing. So I'm aware that I cannot express everything with words because the absolute is inexpressible. Nevertheless, words have also their benefit to convey some meaning. And so that we can look in every given situation, that we try to see the extremes, and then that we understand that most likely the reality or the truth or the most healthy decision is lying in the middle of them. Again, let's say, use an example of drinking alcohol, you know, like, yes, 3 bottles of vodka every morning might be one extreme. But like super strictly, dogmatically, never drinking any drop of alcohol for the rest of our lives might be another extreme. So therefore, yeah, we can have maybe 1 glass of wine here and there, and that's it, you know. Jumper from France, so long time no see. You have to be unmuted. S'il vous plaît.
Yeah, I got it. Hi, hello. Nice to see you. Very happy to see you. I thought we were getting maybe a little bit too down to earth with this explanation of not falling into the extremes. I mean, I understand that at the very beginning in the Hinayana teaching, that this was more or less the way it was understood. But then the meaning of the extreme just got much more vast. And that's where we talk about the extremes of existence and non-existence, and those two together, and neither one nor the other, which you have explained when you talked about like the phenomena have no inherent existence, about the 3rd seal. But this last conversation about what we should do in life and what kind of path to take between 2 situations where we have to choose and not being extreme and all that. This is just like discriminating wisdom, you know, having some discernment, using your own common sense and intuition and whatever, all the tools you have to make the right decision. But talking about extremes, when we are in the Mahayana talk about extremes, it doesn't refer to this kind of situation. It refers to a much more vast view, I believe. I mean, that's what I understand. A much vaster view of like what is the extremes we should not abide by, you know, which is like, again, as you know better than me, existence and non-existence, and the 2 other ones. And that's where, in other words, when we talk about extreme, we talk about the view, we talk about the absolute. And in the relative, then having the view to enlighten our past, then we're using all the tools of our mind, like of our wisdom, like discernment and all of things, to find our way. And again, like Guru Rinpoche's words, your action has to be fine as Tsampa. Then all of this is the way to make the right choice in life, I believe.
Yes, definitely. The last examples, they have been only on the relative level, definitely. I agree. And of course, the whole thing to avoid extremes is more or like, as you said, like on an ontological level, you know, do things exist or not? Nevertheless, I have also seen Khyentse Rinpoche, how he's using that on a relative level, and it could be understood that, the absolute level is, if we are too much on the absolute level, then we tend to make a too small kind of deal of everything, you know, and
that's not being in the absolute.
Wait.
The second you are attached to a view, to a position, you're not in the absolute. We are mixing the two.
No. Let me. So if we are, of course, it's not a realization of absolute, but if we like have only like an intellectual understanding of the absolute, then that might be one extreme in daily life, where we are always against any structure, against any solidification, against any rules, against any caring and so on, but against any details. But then the other side is, if we are too much attached to the relative, then we are becoming too dogmatic. We want too much structure. We become too dogmatic, you know? So for him, this is like, of course, it's sort of relative, but it is like how we can train in daily life, you know, to deal a little bit with absolute and relative. But I totally understand. The main thing is to train in these two is if it's in regards to really existence or absence of existence. And therefore, the main thing is how Trungpa Rinpoche was translating it, being a child of illusion, so that we always see things appear, yes, relative level, but things are empty, hence like an illusion. So, and that we should live our life like that. That would be the middle way between relative and absolute, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you know, thank you for pointing into that, yes.
And there's one commentary in the chat from Florentine. No is not an extreme. It can also be the middle way. Yes is not an extreme. It can also be the middle way. And then there's one more question from Larry. Where is the following sentence coming from? And then in kleinen Anführungszeichen, your actions have to be refined as Sampa? Question mark.
Yeah, the last one to Larry, that is really Guru Rinpoche, but I don't know exactly which text. Gabriele, do you remember? I can find that out definitely, but it's a very often quoted statement from Guru Rinpoche. I know in Jigme Lingpa's Treasury of Precious Qualities in chapter 10, sort of in the middle of the chapter, there's even a whole paragraph on that, where these two sentences are a little bit more elaborated, and where he is also actually, like Khyentse Rinpoche, talking about that if we are too much on the absolute level, we become too nihilistic and careless, and we forget compassionate sentient beings. And if we are too much on the relative level, we become too strict and too tight, and we lose the view. So we can find that out. I believe Claudiao is saying it's from the Juniper Peak. Could be. And the other question, no, it's not an extreme. It can also be middle way. Yes, definitely. Every situation, we have to be flexible and skillful. And now we're again talking on the relative level only, conventional level only. Sometimes yes is an extreme, and sometimes it's a middle way, and sometimes no is an extreme, and sometimes middle way. That totally depends on the situation. There is no fixed rule about anything. Emilia.
One final question from Emilia.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Tusen Tag.
Yeah. Look, I know you told me that everything is Dharma, absolutely everything, but I'm finding it really difficult. I get irritated with at work, like meetings after meetings after meetings, and then deadlines, and it's like, yes, these are my projections. This is an illusion, but at the same time, you know, it's I've got to practice, but I tell myself I've got to practice, but at the same time, I get irritated, because if I'm the full day with meetings and then I have the deadlines, so I have to use more time to catch up. It's less time I have for the things that I really enjoy, you know, or meditation or reading books or watching teachings. So I'm being unable to actually look at everything like everything is Dharma and seeing it with some kind of equanimity. I see as this is wasting my life, this is wasting my time. And then I go back to Arne told me it's all Dharma, but I'm failing. You know, I'm getting too irritated. So what's your advice?
Welcome to the club.
I don't know. I think I had a very idealistic moment when I said everything is Dharma. But I wanted to say that if we are trained and skillful and wise and compassionate enough, we can use every situation in life, you know, as a Dharma practice, and we can even grow from it and develop these qualities even more, instead of getting more twisted and more, I don't know, like a bonsai or depressed. So that is the case. You know, let's say, I mean, you have been in the Bodhisattva, so if you know that 6th chapter, if there's a very angry person, then Shantideva is giving a whole prescription, you know, of like, I don't know, 17 points, how you could deal with that situation, so that you use that seemingly negative situation in a positive way by seeing him or her as actually a Dharma protector or patience tester, and you reflect on causes and conditions, you understand that's your karma, it's exhausting, and so on, you know. So you could use, if you only have patience in mind, you could use so many situations as a practice for patience. And then if you have the other parameters in mind, you can find equally many situations also, you know, like where you can be generous by giving time, lending your ear, giving money, giving food, giving clothes, giving a hug or a kiss even. So, and or informations or the Dharma, or a smile. So that's what I meant, you know, like actually in every situation we could actually practice the 6 parameters, which is the core practice of the Bodhisattvas, which I know you are on that path. Having said that, as you can see from my life story that Gabriele was like quoting too nicely, I stopped being a doctor, even though a doctor is sort of an ethical action, and it's sort of helping people also. And yes, I could practice the 6 parameters there. It's actually quite conducive for the 6 parameters. Nevertheless, I really share your sentiment and your longing and your wish to have 24 hours for directly Dharma practice, you know, like reading, studying, contemplating, meditating. And yes, I think that is I think that's a good wish. That's why I did it also. So I can only suggest to you, since you understood the first seal, everything that is compounded is impermanent, you can understand that your situation at the moment where you don't have the luxury to have 24 hours for Dharma, that this situation is impermanent because it's compounded. And therefore, I think it's good for you maybe to check what are the causes and conditions that keep you in this present situation, and then manipulate them, change them. And I think one solution, according to Khyentse Rinpoche, is also aspirations always, you know, that you really pray that you will be able to have more time for the Dharma.
Thank you, Arne. Yes. Thank you.
This is a very good point to close on, that we all pray and wish to have more time to practice and study and realize the Dharma with our efforts. I wanted to thank Arne for sure for his brilliant and concise talk on the 4 seals. Also, thank you to everybody who participated, and especially in the vivid discussions about the 4 seals. And thanks to Bling, who has organized and hosted this event, and everybody who helped making it happen. And one brief conclusion maybe, the next Dharma talk on Prajna Online will be by Christine Longecker, who is a fabulous teacher as well, and it will be on the 19th of January, which is a Wednesday. Keep an eye out on the live section on Prajna for more information. And I believe Christy Longeka, she's an expert on self-compassion, and I believe she will bring us all into a more compassionate state while she was talking. And in case you wish to support this project, please donate on prajnaonline.org for anything further. So big thank you to everybody, especially to Arne. And
thank you, Gabrielle.
See you all soon.
Thank you, Gabriela La. Thank you, everyone. La. Stay healthy. Yeah?